All right, today on the Gym Mafia podcast, we're going to be talking mental health and how it's affecting us in the homes. What's your thoughts on mental health?
I mean, really, one of the problems, especially in our community, a lot of people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because of the stigma that it comes with. I mean, I even get it in my house,
Yeah.
with my father, who,
Yeah.
he old, he almost 90 years old.
Right.
So, he didn't come up like that.
Right.
So, pretty much I'm bipolar too. So, what that means is I'm always manic,
Right.
where you just keep moving.
Right.
My brain, I'm always thinking. So, I use like a lot of different techniques as far as I work a lot.
Right.
I'm great with my hands, so I usually build stuff.
Yeah. That's
which-
real productive.
Right, which is one of them things
Right.
that's started out as a hobby, it would turned into a company. So with that, with the manic part of it, you have to control it.
Right.
And it's hard to sleep. Like from Friday to now, I had a total of 8 hours sleep.
So it's one of those things where your mind won't let you rest.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think probably to a certain degree, a lot of people suffer from that. And one would say that you utilized that the right way and dealt with it the right way too, as though you took your manic energy and developed good habits and opened your own business.
Yeah.
But what about the people that can't find that sweet spot and manage productively?
Well, like I ain't ashamed to say I'm on medication
Right.
because another symptom of that is violent tendencies.
Right.
Being bipolar, you have to learn how to know when it's coming, when you're manic.
Right.
I could be, some days I can be at 100.
Right.
Explain
to me what manic is.
Pretty much like I was just saying.
Being very active,
Yeah.
busybody, like can't keep still
Right.
type of thing.
You know how you go to the gym?
Yes.
I could go to the gym and I'm there to work out,
Right.
but my mind is racing.
You can't
So
focus on
instead
it.
of doing that one thing, I'm thinking about doing the next thing.
Right.
And at that point, I'll just stop and go do that. So that's the mania part. It's like I got 4 kids.
Right.
So my kids have it.
Right.
My one kid, she has it the worst.
Yeah.
She's just like my mother. My mother is bipolar 3.
Right.
Sometimes she'll have to be hospitalized.
Right.
And she, what you call a paranoid thing?
Schizophrenic. Yeah.
So, she's that. And I want to show my kids and a lot of people out there that it's all right to have that conversation
Right.
about mental health. 'Cause, a lot of people, when you tell them, they think, oh, I can't mess with them. No, that's not true.
Right.
You know?
Because a lot of people running around here nowadays undiagnosed. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that can relate to even with you when you gave the example of coming in the gym and trying to focus on one thing but your mind being somewhere else.
Right.
I think all of us have that to a certain degree, but what I'm guessing is that it's more intense when you have when you're bipolar because it's like, you know, you're wired that way. And and you learned the way to manage it. So what happens with people who can't manage
To be honest, a lot of people they lean on the violent side
it? Yeah.
because it's not that they're lashing out. They don't know because a lot of us scared to go to the doctor, so
Yeah.
they don't know, and that's a release. I mean, for me, I didn't find out until I was about 25.
Right.
You know, and I still didn't believe it.
Right.
You know, like we all do. You know,
Yeah.
A doctor don't know nothing. He
Right.
just talking.
Right.
You know, but I started to see it, and like I had growing up, I had a tether, which was my nephew,
Right.
your cousin. It's not that any of us knew. He just knew that if you say something to me the wrong
temper.
way,
Right. Yeah, it was gonna go off.
right,
Right.
and it got me in a lot of trouble, man.
Right.
You know, a lot of trouble. You know,
So like when you say it lean more to, let's go to the dark side of it. When you say, you lean, a lot of people who don't manage it right, they lean more to the violent side. Before you knew that you had bipolar, you said you found out when you was 25.
Mm-hmm.
You came up in the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
So I'm assuming, it was a lot going on then. Like, did you, looking back at it, do you think a lot of the stuff that you was going through as a young male coming up, all the different situations and how you handle things, the things you was doing, had something to do with you being undiagnosed?
It did. Like, how can I say this? I grew up in an abusive home.
That's because mom was suffering from the same thing,
Right.
undiagnosed.
Right.
Okay.
So, but one of the things, like I talk about tethers. My stepfather was a tether for my mother.
Right.
You know,
Before you continue on, what do you mean by tether?
somebody that grounds you,
I
that
got you.
lets
Okay.
you know, hey, you going too far.
Right.
Slow down.
Right. Somebody to understand you
Right.
and can pull you back. Okay.
Right. So let me say this first. My father always taught me how to work.
Right.
You know, my stepfather, like you said, I grew up in the 80s.
Right.
So I don't think he meant to do it, but he cultivated my violence.
Right.
He used to rob people.
Right.
Rob people, sell drugs, you know. So, being as though I live with my mother, that's what I was taught.
Yeah.
You know, like, when I was out there, you know, I would, like most people, I get so focused on things, you know, where at times I can't stop.
Right.
So when I learned how to do these things, as I got older, and he got killed.
Rest in
you
peace.
know. And as I got older, I started using those skills. Robbing people. I would I was trained. I was focused. So if that's what I was going to do, you would have never known.
Right.
Because I would be 2-3 blocks away with binoculars, writing down, writing down the times,
Stake out, yeah.
who you with, who this person is,
Right.
and I had a habit of making notes.
Right.
But I would take them notes, read them twice, and I would burn them.
Right.
I was always intelligent,
Right.
but I mixed that intelligence with street.
Right. That's what you was focused on.
Right. So it just kept me just grinding until one day I I honestly thought.
Just don't incriminate yourself.
No, I would never do that.
I know some of your stories. Don't you know which ones I'm talking about?
I would never do that.
but so you think that, you know, like, because a lot of us grew up, you know, in some hectic homes. But looking back on it, like, we didn't even realize what the stuff they classify now as abuse, that was regular things in the house, getting hit with shit upside our head.
Exactly.
I mean, not going to school, people getting high, all these different things. Right. You know, because, like, outside of just being diagnosed with clinical issues, like, you know, like schizophrenia, bipolar, and all the ones I didn't name, because it's like, you know, but what about, like, just the mental health that comes from growing up in these abusive homes, growing up in these single parent homes, growing up in poverty, growing up with drug abuse, people getting molested, and now, you know, these are the parents now, and look at the babies.
Right.
You know, think about, you know, I think about my generation. You're ahead of me, but I think about what we was listening to and what we was trying to make regular. Think about the stuff we was trying to make regular. It was cool. Like, yeah, she smoked weed. We got a chick that smoked weed. Oh, she
right.
Now it's like that's the culture now. Oh yeah, he a killer. That's the culture now. You know, it was like the beginning of it. It's not to say that we started it, but we was just like trying to popularize it. The music was popularizing it.
Right.
And
right.
now it's the culture, and now, believe it or not, to some certain degree, I think we all suffering from some type of mental health problems, because the stuff that, like, that's like a kid, right? Being brought up in the house and they was molested in all their life, and they think that's regular.
Right.
Look at the things that we do now in the society, and we think that it's regular when it's really not. Up is down and down is up.
Right. Well, when I was growing up, it was regular. You know, I would go to the teachers. Teachers was pretty much like, nah, there ain't nothing happening. You know. So, like I said, my nephew was my tether.
Right.
You know, but it was a few people that knew.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law, who is like my sister.
Right.
You know, and my brother.
Right.
And they knew, and it was like, back then it was nothing you could do. You know, and they always made sure that I was all right.
Yeah.
You know, and that, you know, that was one of them things that my one of my brothers, we just alike.
Yeah.
You know, we just alike. Even now to this day, we going through the same thing. But he's not on the violent side, but he has a quick temper. Not now, cause you know he older. He in the church, you know.
Right.
So, but yeah.
So, answer me this.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that your 4 kids. So you have a history.
Yes.
Of mental illness in a sense.
Yes.
Because, you know, when we say it, it's like a blanket statement. It could be this, it could be that. But we're talking about this bipolar, manic, depression, and all these different things. Not depression. You didn't mention that.
No. We do have depression.
Okay.
I just didn't get to it yet.
All right. So, but hit me on this. So now, how is it maintaining a family with? And I'm assuming that they don't understand that they have these different things and how to deal with it. Even the fact, because you found out it later on in life when you was halfway through your life based on your age. You know, then you had to learn how to manage it, and then you recognized it was a problem. Then you started to treat it, and you learn how to deal with it. Right. How is it being a family man, being a father, managing yourself, and trying to manage 4 other people? How was that?
Well, one good thing is I can say having that mental illness.
Yeah.
You love your kid. You know, every parent love their kid.
Right.
But you love your kids more, like, intense.
Right.
You know, so you're all like, I always tell my kids, don't be me, be better than me.
Correct.
You know, and it's sometimes, like, I been divorced, you know, and sometimes it's the the other person don't know. They don't like my first wife. She didn't know. She ain't know how to deal with it.
Right.
So her thing was, well, you fuss too much. You know, I didn't know.
Right, because that's around the time, yeah.
Right. And
you found out.
Right. And when you try to tell your kids, like I said, my oldest, she doesn't believe that she is.
Right.
But I can step back, man. All my kids are like me.
Yeah, you see the traits.
Right.
So well, is it? Do they think that you're just the characteristics are the characteristics and not necessarily the manic stuff and all that, or do you definitely see it? You see the illness and not just the characteristics that are like you, because they are like you, but do you see that? You see the manicness and all that stuff outside of just the characteristics that's just like you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like in the things they do, and you start thinking like, dang, I do stuff like that when I was dealing with this and didn't even realize that's what I was dealing with.
Absolutely, and that's how I could see it.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Can you
how
see it in other people? I mean, you know,
Well,
that you don't know this base. If you're around them enough and you start seeing like, okay, they probably.
That's another symptom of it.
Right.
You know, you get to study people character.
Yeah.
You sit back and you get to see what they prioritize. I mean, it's funny to you get obsessed. To the average person, it's like, you know, yeah, I do that, but you know, for us, it's intense.
Yeah.
You know, I can, cause I'm an introvert, man. I really don't like being around people. Me and my brothers, we were joking yesterday, and one of my nephews, he said, well, where y'all friends? I say, we don't have no friends because
family.
our friends is our family.
Right.
You know, you got associates, but our friends is family.
Right.
And so you learn how to peep the characteristics.
Right.
Like with my kids. I always said, you know, it's going to sound crazy, but it's true. I always said, one of my kids going to go to jail. One of them going to get high. One going to be lazy. And the other one just going to be where they need to be.
Yeah. That is the odds. Like,
right. And you are exactly right.
But, you know, and that got a lot to do with, like, what the culture is, too, now. You know what I mean, too?
Yes.
You know, because in some parts of the culture might feel that all those things, well, to get on the jail and getting high is like some rite of passage.
It's not, man.
You know what I mean?
It is.
And that's what we need to change about the culture.
Right. It's not. My oldest son, he went to jail.
Yeah.
You know. Accountability is big for me.
Yeah.
You know, we don't run. You stand up.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you take it.
Right.
And you deal with it.
Right.
And that's what he did. And man, my son works. He has, you know, he doing good. I'm unbelievably proud of him.
Yeah, as you should.
You know, and
shout out to you.
I was always, you know, I'm hard on all my kids. I was extremely hard on him. Cause he was my first son.
Yeah, he's named after you.
Right. He was my firstborn. And I was hard on him because, like I said at first, don't be me, be better than me. You know, and man, he does sheet metal.
HVACR.
Right. He does he fixes cars. You know,
he's mechanically inclined.
Right. And I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of all my kids.
But I get it, you're pointing it out because he was headed the wrong direction.
Yes.
Because he could have sat down for a long time.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah, and he made it out. Like I said, my oldest daughter, she's doing good. She just doesn't want to believe that, hey, this is what you need, you know? And we all get in denial.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, it's like you said, the stigma, and you're probably saying, hey, you need to get on medication to help deal with it. And then she probably like, I don't want to be on that.
Exactly.
Because all the stuff that you hear oh, people getting this, they getting depressed and blah blah blah. All the all the risk factors where you say it'll help you with headaches, but could cause cancer, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? Like the list of other stuff is longer than the stuff that it helps. You know what I mean? And then everybody want to feel like they stand on their own too. You know what I mean? And you hear horror stories about people getting off the medicine and deleting themselves.
Well,
depending on what the medicine is. I don't want to like
Right, and if you go to the doctor, every medicine don't work for the person.
Right. So you gotta go through the trial and error. That's the same thing. Like I got hypertension, I got high blood pressure, and when I first got on the medicine, like at the gym, it messed up my pump. It had beta blockers in it, so I couldn't get as pumped. And moving and be jumping around because it just like a wall was up, right? And then within a couple of months, tweaking it back and forth, switching it. About now I'm at a point where like I'm used to it. It ain't giving me a headache and it ain't making me feel this way or that way. I feel regular and I'm not going to have a stroke. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I get it. I get it. So but even that though, that could be intimidating to somebody, even if they do acknowledge it, right? And go through that process of all those different feelings because from what I understand, these things are helping you manage the way you feel.
Yes, it does. Man, I was on. Look, I ain't gonna say the medication. I was on one medication that made me feel loopy.
Right.
Like it made me sick. So they put me on something else.
Right.
That thing killed my sex drive.
Right. And that like no man want to be impotent. You know what I mean? Like, yo.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you going to the gas station, getting the gas station pill, and that ain't even working. Because they're going other shit stronger.
Right.
But, yeah.
So I got, like now, I'm on something that levels me out.
Yeah.
And it's days that I don't take it.
And how does that make you feel?
Man, when I don't take it, I get, it depends on the day.
Yeah.
If I don't take it, sometimes, like, I get bad. I already have migraines, but it be intense.
Right.
And my wife now, she knows when I don't take it because I'm either sky high. That's the manic part.
Yeah.
But when you get depression, because it's bipolar too.
Right.
You get manic and depressive. When I get depressed, like I'm an introvert anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around nobody. I don't want to be around nobody. The smallest thing. You just want to crawl in the ball.
Right.
And that part is really hard to deal with.
What about like how is that on your wife? Because she got to be the one to deal with you directly. Mm-hmm. Like you say, she noticed when you're not taking it. How does that make her feel?
Pretty much, she deals with it. She knows that you take your medicine.
Yeah.
She keeps me grounded.
That's good.
And I to be honest, one of the symptoms I smoke. I smoke. That's one of the medications that they suggest, but I'm falling apart. I'm old.
Yeah.
So
do that help? Back when I used to smoke, like the last thing I wanted to do was hurt somebody. I wanted to eat a bag of chips.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
Like I'll take when I get manic and I can't sleep now.
Yeah.
I don't like taking a lot of medicines. I don't like doing the ibuprofen, things like that. Mm-hmm. I had a bunch of surgeries. I don't take the oxy, none of that. I don't take none of that.
I tell you what, I can tell you how none of that stuff feel.
Mm-hmm.
And thankful because I mean you see the epidemic today.
Right.
If you got addictive personality,
Yes.
you know what I mean, and you get shot or something, get in a car accident,
Yeah.
and you get on these pills and you get stuck on them.
Man.
And, you know, I had a conversation with my brother. He was here a few months ago. We talked about just that, and he's fitness saved his life. You know what I mean?
Good.
And but he had went down that slippery slope, and he talked about it openly to as though even self deletion. He had to catch himself.
Right.
And he got away from all that and really focused on fitness. But
right. And
I get it.
And that's that's a good thing. When you can realize when, hey man, I'm at that point where I'm hurting myself
Yeah.
more than I'm gaining.
Yeah.